I'm going to be very brave this morning and venture away from the lecture. I'm very scared. It's so much of a security. You can kind of go in, and if you feel like you're saying something, you can hide behind it, or you need to hold your tummy in because it covers everything. So, I'm feeling very brave. But I know I'm amongst friends, so if I do because my first entrance here I did a comedy fall, so do you know, if I do another comedy fall, how bad can that be? So we continue looking at our series, and let's read together from God's Word. We're going to read our first passage, which is Luke 10. You probably know both of the stories we're going to read from Luke this morning quite well, but let me tell you, these are great stories. So Luke 10, reading at verse 38. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. She had a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister's left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken from her." And then our next verse is from Luke 19, the story of Zacchaeus. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. A man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but being a short man, he couldn't because of the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he gladly came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, "He's come to be the guest of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half my possessions to the poor, and if I've cheated anybody out of anything, I'll repay it 4 times the amount." Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to your house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save what was lost." Amen. I have really enjoyed the title of the series that we're looking at, Living Questionable Lives. There have been moments in my life where my life has most definitely been questionable, and isn't it brilliant that we get to live radical, questionable lives for Jesus? So, in attempting to rock the world with our questionable lives, I wonder how you got on with blessing 3 people last week. Keith challenged all of us to take 3 people and to be really intentional about blessing them. I took this challenge very seriously, and then the other day I very boldly blessed somebody that I really felt God had put on my heart. And you know, they didn't really seem that appreciative, to be honest. And I was looking for a bit more of a reaction. I was looking for "Oh, Louise, thanks, that's all, you've just blessed me so much." But no, didn't do that. And actually, they texted me later to ask if I would do them a favour. Can you believe it? I've got a cheek of it. I'm not going to bless you, and now you're wanting me to do a favour for you. Do you know, I was really grumpy about it. I thought, what a cheek. But then I remembered, and the Holy Spirit spoke to my heart. We don't bless people to make us feel better. We don't bless people because Keith the minister told us to. We bless people because we are blessed. We pass on the blessing because we know God's blessing in our lives. So in the word bells, we have covered B for bless, and you'll see in your sheet today that the word we're looking at is eat. Now, it will be no great surprise to you that I do enjoy my food, and I do enjoy eating. And so this is a brilliant topic for us to think about this morning. A sermon you can really get your teeth into. I know, it's terrible. Anyway, so last week we spoke about in the children's talk, Jesus multiplies somebody's lunch to feed the masses. How brilliant a story is that? Jesus meeting our very basic need of food. I wonder if he sensed that the hunger was beginning to kick in with the disciples. That bit when it's nearly lunchtime and you're just getting that extra bit irritable because you just need to have some food. Jesus knew that and provided food for everybody there. One of my favourite stories in the Bible is from the wedding of Cana, where Jesus turns water into wine. How brilliant is that? Just as they're running out of the essential wine, to make sure that the host wasn't shamed, Jesus' very first recorded miracle is turning water into wine, is providing food and drink for the meal. The food is a major part of so many of the stories in the Bible. One of our most beautiful and meaningful rituals within the church is when we share a meal together, when we have communion. This beautiful, sacred tradition as we think of Jesus sitting with his disciples, taking the elements in front of him, bread, wine, setting it apart for something life-changing, which still spiritually nourishes us today. You can see on the screen the very famous picture that Da Vinci drew of all the guys sitting around together sharing that meal. And it's a beautiful painting. But there's a Scots artist, Ian Campbell, who I think has captured this meal in a way that I find really touching. This is entitled The Last Supper. And this was drawn to honour the work of Glasgow City Mission, working with the vulnerable, homeless people of Glasgow. As I look at that picture, I see myself at that table. I come to God's table with nothing. I come needing help and needing restored. And there is space at that table for us. We drink of the bread and the wine, and we know the nourishment that can only come from our Father. Examples of food in the Bible are not just limited to the Gospels. There's a great story in Genesis 25 where Esau sells his very birthright because he is that hungry. He trades his birthright for some lentil stew. Now this seems a very surprising story to me. When my children are hungry, I can pretty much, they'll take anything if they're hungry. But lentil stew, my goodness, I can't imagine them being too impressed by that. Food is such a cultural part of our lives. Food is a major element in every single culture. Every culture has its unique ingredients, has its unique ways of cooking things, of serving things. Every culture has food at the heart of it. If you think to a meal that was really special for you, I wonder what meal comes to mind. I wonder if it's maybe not just about the physical food, but it's about who you were with. It was maybe a wedding or a really special holiday that you saved up for. Could have been And the birth, I remember the toast that was given after Ryan was born. He took a long time to arrive. And the toast and tea I had after that was, I just never tasted anything so fabulous in my life. It was like manna from heaven. It's not just about the physical food, it's about who we share it with. We've heard over the last few weeks about the Emperor Julian. He was getting really concerned about these Christians, this new radical faith. Who are these people and what are they doing? He noticed that food was involved in a lot of their time they spent together. And he became really worried about it. There's actually records of letters that he sent. He was so worried about this new faith group getting together and sharing food. What could possibly be threatening about sharing food? The emperor of the Roman Empire was worried of these people of faith gathering to eat. What could be worrying about that? And yet Julian was right to be worried. Because something happens when we share food together. Food builds community. I remember when I was younger, I went to live in a Christian community down in Plymouth with an organisation, Youth with a Mission. I'd previously been living in a flat, me and my sister, and it was just the two of us. And then suddenly I was transported down to Plymouth, living in this huge house with 13 other people. Mealtimes were a riot. If you sat in the middle of the table, then my goodness, we were passing the salt, you were passing the sauce, everybody used to fight for an end seat so they could have their dinner in peace. And I used to think, oh, do you know what I'd do to just take my plate, sit on the sofa, put the telly on, have my tea and relax. And yet, our community would have been so different if we hadn't shared those meals together. It was in those sharing of meals that we really truly bonded as a community. Sharing food nurtures family life. So this morning we're going to think about how this can be a missional part of our life. We've looked at the two passages in the Bible today. Luke 10, we see Jesus joining his friends Mary and Martha. Martha's the one, come on in, right, let's get organised, here's Jesus and the gang, get the kettle, well, get the stove on, or whatever they did. She welcomed them in. But then, who can't relate to the rage of Martha as her sibling is sitting on her backside while she's doing all the work? Oh, I can just hear my tone. What are you doing sitting down? That's leaving it up to me again. The dinner's not going to cook itself. Mary Poppins isn't going to come in and click her fingers and the place is tidy. We all need to get moving. We can all relate, can't we? I think we all feel for Martha. Poor Martha. Mary's sitting there having a jolly old time. I wonder though, what if what Jesus was saying to Martha was something a bit more than just, don't worry. I wonder if Martha was maybe hiding in the kitchen. And I wondered if Martha was maybe hiding in the kitchen, because I have to confess there are times when I sometimes hide in the kitchen. Are there times when instead of connecting with people, we busy ourselves in the task? Can any of us here be guilty of sometimes losing ourselves in activity rather than making deep, vulnerable, risky connections? Could it be that church has become something where we do things, we're on rotas, we do tasks, and actually that becomes the focus, not seeing our faith growing and nurtured each week? Do we get lost in activity? The story of Mary and Martha is a powerful story. Jesus going to someone's house, having a meal together, but the food's not the important bit, is it? It's spending time with Jesus. Mary chose wisely. Mary sat at the feet of Jesus and listened. And don't forget, the shock of that story is that for a woman to be sitting at Jesus' feet, an equal disciple with men, this was never heard of before. This is radical stuff. Mary is wanting spiritually nourished, something that was only set aside for the men. And Jesus' gentle words, after, I like that Martha told him, Jesus, you tell her, get her in here. And his gentle reply, Martha, don't worry. Jesus knew that the dinner needed to be made, but he noticed that Martha was caught up in the task. She was caught up in the list of things to do. As we share food together, let's not be people who get caught up in the detail. It's not about spending a lot of money. It's not about having napkins that match the tablecloth. It's not about a fancy meal. It's about connecting with people. It's about being fully present. Jesus does challenge Martha. He does know that dinner needs made, but she's got distracted. She's got caught up. Jesus wanted to be with Mary and with Martha. He called her out the kitchen to be with him. For those who have maybe helped with Bethany, a care shelter, they provide a meal and a bed during the winter time. And it's so satisfying to provide a warm, home-cooked meal to somebody who's living rough. But actually, it's not just about a warm meal. It's about the connection. It's about sitting and sharing together, and the dignity and the hope of having a conversation with someone. That is so much more fulfilling than any meal could ever be. We invited some friends round for Sunday lunch a while ago at our church up in Gracemount. We're kind of on the fringes of things, and so we invited them to the chaos of the Purdon House. But you know, they didn't just come for a meal. They'd never had Sunday lunch before. They were like, oh, we've never done Sunday lunch before. I thought, gosh, that's been such a part of my rhythm growing up, having folk back after church, sharing a meal with them. And they'd never had Sunday lunch before. Now, if they'd come to our home, and if I'd been in the kitchen for the whole time, and if Richard had been scurrying around getting drinks and cleaning up things, they may have left with full tummies, but they would have been dissatisfied, because what makes a meal is it's the company, it's the time, it's the conversation, and it's the connections. The story of Mary and Martha shows that hospitality is so much more than just providing a meal or a drink for somebody. It's about sharing. And just as Keith gave us a challenge last week to bless 3 people, there is another challenge for you this week. Be intentional about sharing food or drink with 3 people this week. And make sure one of them isn't a Christian. Could be the work colleague that always scuttles off for lunch early. You could invite them to join you. Could ask a neighbour in, could be one of your friends, could be one of your children's parents. Have them round if you're inviting the child round for a play day. Why not ask the parent, do you want to stay, have a cup of tea with me? It's really not difficult. It's really easy. Invite someone for a cup of tea and see what conversations can happen if you are really, truly present. And so to our Zacchaeus passage in Luke 19, this is another brilliant story. For those of you that maybe grew up in Sunday school, you will be familiar with the story of Zacchaeus. Oh, there he is, stuck up a tree, poor thing. And to be honest, I always felt really sorry for Zacchaeus. Like, how embarrassing. You're too wee to see anything, so then you've got to be undignified to climb a tree. Climbing a tree is not easy when you're a grown-up. climbing up a tree. Everyone's talking about the teacher, but you can't see him. So there they are, up the tree. And of course, what does Jesus do? Is he's trying to hide up a tree, points straight at him. Oh, poor Zacchaeus. Only Zacchaeus isn't a poor, wee, vulnerable man. He was a completely loaded chief tax collector. He was connected to the Roman bureaucracy. He was corrupt, and he was a cheat. When I imagine this in a modern context, I think of someone exploiting the poor. I imagine a landlord with hundreds of flats, loads of properties, and yet renting them out to families for loads of money. Damp, riddled flats, people scraping pennies together to pay his extortionate fees. Don't allow your Sunday school version of this story to rob you of the power of its impact. We used to sing a song about the funny wee man, Zacchaeus. He's an egotistical, power-hungry sycophant. And yet, that's not what Jesus saw when he looked at Zacchaeus. As ever, Jesus looked beyond the exterior, and he saw who Zacchaeus could be. Jesus' invitation completely transformed Zacchaeus' life. But not only that, it transformed the life of the community. Oh, I would love to see the faces of those who Zacchaeus returned his money to. Oh, how brilliant would that be? 4 times what he robbed them. He freely gave everything away. The early church was despised for its acceptance of outcasts. But the early Christians regarded this as something glorious, not something shameful. How do we view others? How do we feel when we're sitting on the bus and somebody gets on who's not washed for days and is heading straight towards us? Do we pray that they'll go to the seat behind? Or do we move our bag and let them sit beside us? How do we feel when we're in a cafe? A latte, book, moment of peace. And then somebody comes in, looking a bit dodgy, muttering under their breath. Do we bury ourselves further in our book? Or do we look up and say, come, join me, there's a seat here. I know what Jesus would have done. Jesus would be the first to say, there is room at the table. Come, sit with me. In our study so far, we've been encouraged to bless others. And now we're encouraged to eat with others. Not just the physical food, but by making a missional intent about seeing lives transformed, just like Zacchaeus' life was transformed. When I was a youth worker, I shared a house with another youth worker, and we used to have a thing called Choose a Tuesday. We thought it was hilarious. And on a Tuesday, we would always invite somebody round for dinner that we wouldn't normally have round to the house. So we had work colleagues, we had folk at church we didn't know very well, we had sometimes young people come round for dinner. Joe would cook up a storm, I'd then clean up the storm after Joe'd created the storm. But they were really precious evenings where we shared and where we connected with people. Now for me it was great. I was a youth worker, I was single, I was having a lovely time living with Joe. And life's a bit more complicated now. Rich is away, he travels quite a lot, the kids have got the gruelling routine of football and dancing and all the rest of it. It's not as easy to invite people round to the house. We don't have a dining room table. It's hard to find ways to engage with people. I actually like Jesus' approach where he said to Zacchaeus, I'm coming to your house. And I thought, I think I take that on, right? Who wants me for tea? I'm entirely sure I get away with that. But it's about making this part of our lifestyle. We can all find reasons, oh, we don't have a dining room table. Well, do you know what? Have a picnic in the garden. Oh, we don't have time. Well, you know, maybe on a Saturday morning, go for breakfast. You can make this part of your lifestyle. It doesn't have to be a pressurised thing. It's about finding ways to engage with people in a way that works for you and for them. There's a book called 3 Cups of Tea, and it's based on a Balti proverb. The proverb goes, the first time you share tea with a Balti, you're a stranger. The second time you take tea, you're a guest. The third time you share tea, you're family. Isn't that lovely? You're called as God's family to invite people into our family. Could be a cup of tea, could be a poke of chips from the chippy. Make these connections. It doesn't have to be complicated. Spend time with people. Allow people to know how valued and how precious they are. The Bible describes heaven as a banquet. It's one of my favourites. I love the thought of this great big banqueting table in heaven where there is room for every single one of us. God's calling us to connect with people, to share our lives with people, and to share food and drink with one another. I watched a really good TED talk as I was thinking about this subject of food. And it was done by a chef called Leon Arts. I think he's Scandinavian. And he shared some stories about when he volunteered as a chef in the jungle in Cali, working with refugees. He spoke of how sharing food brought people together in the most brutal of circumstances. They shared Cali eggs, they call it, comfort food. People gathering, sharing their lives and sharing their stories. As he came back to the UK, he lives in London, he realised how disconnected we've come. People eating sandwiches on the go, rushing around here, there and everywhere. And he recognised how food can bring people together. So he started up a project called the Supper Club. And I'd like to show a video, please, from his project. The world does need more love. Dalkeith needs more love. We can share that over a meal, over a cup of tea. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for your word. Father, for the great stories we find within it. Stories of people getting together and sharing food. Stories of Jesus miraculously multiplying food so that everyone is fed. Father, thank you that at your table there is room for us. Holy Spirit, would you speak to us? Show us people in our lives that we can bless over a cup of tea or over a meal. And just as we saw Zacchaeus, life transformed, Father, we pray that through spending time together, we would see lives transformed. In Jesus' name.